Uncle confirmed. Now I simply appreciate what happens instead of comparing it to what I think ought to happen. I've learned that my personal pain comes from the difference between what is happening and what I think ought to be happening. The man said, so if I let go of what I think is missing from the fantasy and appreciate what is already good about the reality, I'll be happier. It works for me, his uncle said. The older man continued, I take care of me by looking at what I want versus what I need. What is the difference between two? A need, the older man said, is something we require for our well being. A want is something we hope will make us happy, but often doesn't. I want a candy bar. I need oxygen. It's like success and happiness, Uncle said. Many successful but unhappy people have discovered that what they pursued and got didn't make them happy. I feel successful when I get what I want, Uncle said. But I feel happy when I want what I get. Again, I see things more clearly, Uncle explained. When I stop and look at what I am pursuing, Uncle paused to let his nephew see the importance of what he was going to say. We can never get enough of what we don't need. It's like wanting money, getting it, discovering it doesn't make you happy, and yet wanting more, hoping that will make you happy. Then how do you know that what you need, Uncle? By spending time looking at what really makes me happy. Some days I'm in the mood to write things down and analyze them. Other days I go for a walk and listen in silence to myself. When I take a minute to ask, do I really need what I am chasing? I often stop pursuing it. The man said, that reminds me of when I was learning how to hang glide. I saw a boy trying to fly while his instructor yelled up from the ground, watch out for the parked cars, don't hit that green car. I said, don't hit that green. Guess where the guy went, right? He continued into the green car. My instructor said, let that be a lesson to you. Never look at where you don't want to go. I'm beginning to understand, the nephew added. You reduce the stress in your life by not aiming at what you don't need. Sure, what you think you or I would feel if we had worked hard to get something only to discover we didn't need it in the first place. I would be disappointed, the man said, maybe even depressed. So it really pays to stop and look. Exactly. And if I'm not willing to take that time to stop and look at what is really best for me, who is? It really is very simple. The more I take good care of myself, the more I feel well taken care of. What do you do, Uncle, when things are not going well for you, and how do you take care of yourself? I look past the bad until I find the good. You may want to do the same when things look bad. The man said, I'll try to do that. May I ask what else you do that works for you? Yes, I uncomplicate my life, Uncle said. It's a quick way to reduce stress. I cut away more and more until I find the core of what makes me happy. When I get it simple, I keep it simple. The more simple my life is, the more peaceful it is. What do you do to simplify your life, Uncle? Again, Uncle challenged him. I think I will ask you to think about what you can do to uncomplicate your life. Uncle stood up and walked around. I'm going to give you a little more of my time this morning and then I'm going to go play. Play? The man asked. Uncle answered, playing is like laughing. It too is one of the ways I take care of myself. Play is for the body what a good attitude is for the mind. As for play, I like to play tennis with my buddies and go skinny dipping with your aunt. The nephew smiled. I think you would like a friend of mine. His life is not without problem, but he's got a great attitude. He thinks life is a game. Before he opens his eyes in the morning, he always stretches his arm out all around him. He says, if he can't feel the sides of the coffin, he knows it's gonna be a good day. Uncle laughed. Attitude is the name of the game. How you look at life is the single best way to take care of self. You have a perspective that either beats you up or builds you up, or and we can choose our attitude. As I've grown older and I hope smarter, Uncle added, it seems to me that there are really only two basic emotions in my life. The two emotions are love, positive, and fear, negative. One is the absence of another, and it may be that all the other emotions are a variation of one of these two. What about anxiety? The man asked. Uncle answered, anxiety is the fear of the unknown. Whenever I am not taking care of myself, Uncle admitted, I realize that I'm operating out of fear. When I choose to operate out of love, he added, I feel cared for, I feel happy. So when I make a decision, Uncle said, I ask, is this a love filled decision or fearful decision? Decisions I make based on fear, whether I am aware of it or not, do not turn out very well for me. The man admitted to himself that his hadn't either. When I make a decision based on love, the absence of fear, Uncle continued, I feel good even before I know the outcome. Another way I take care of myself is by giving away part of my time and my money. How is that example of taking care of yourself? Because Uncle said, when I give away some of my money or my time, it reminds me that I am not afraid. I believe I will always have enough to share with others. Uncle added, when I'm afraid, I'll still try to choose non fearful decision anyway. I love that feeling of deciding I'm not going to be afraid. Uncle seemed so clear, the man wondered if he would ever learn how to take care of himself. As though he could read his nephew's concern, Uncle said, let me tell you a true story. When he was a young man, our neighbor didn't know whether to take a job he had been offered in New York, so he asked the advice of a wise old gentleman he admired. The old man advised, go alone to New York, travel all the way across the country by train, take nothing with you to read, nothing with which to write, get a private compartment, have the porter bring you all your meals, speak to no one. That is my advice. My neighbor tells me he soon regretted agreeing to follow the old man's advice, but he did as advised. After a few days, he got bored looking at the scenery. Then, what do you think he did? He started to think, the man asked. Of course, Uncle said. He stopped long enough to take care of himself, to let the answer come to him. By the time he got to New York, he knew he should take the job. He did, and he became very successful. So he had the answer within him all the time. Sure, and the old man knew he would discover it. When our neighbor took time out to stop and spend quiet moments with himself, he saw how best to take good care of himself. It also helped him take better care of his family. The same is true for us. We each know that what is good for us. We just need to slow down long enough to take care of ourselves. Now, guess what I'm going to advise you to do? The man smiled and said, somehow, uncle, I think I'm going to take a kind train ride alone.